Hello, my divine, infinite human beings, you're all that is, ever has been, and ever shall be. And today we have a very exciting show for you. And we have a wonderful guest that I've been wanting to get on forever. And I think he just finished his album. So that's why he's available now, because he was busy working. And he goes by the name Aquashii. And we'll have him on. But before I bring him in to talk to you, I want to kind of just orient this show because it's in the month that we're talking about co-creating the new earth. And last week we had the beautiful Alma Soul in talking about grounding in the physical, and of course bringing in the animals, the frequency, the shifting frequency in the animal kingdom and the Deva kingdom. And ultimately that is our goal, to ground ourselves in the ascending, in our ascending Mother Earth. But much to my surprise, because as I shared before, I just wanted to buy a piece of land and bring everybody and start creating these new earth communities. But I realized, well, we first need to find the people. We have to wake them up. We have to draw them in. So, and in my book, The Infinite Human, I talked a lot about the two choices, like artificial technology and divine technology, and really said we need to get out of the net. But my guidance, as I stated before, my guides, don't guide me. They kind of like shove me. And I was told that I really need to expand out into the net for right now, because that's the stepping stone to where we're going. And then eventually Tartarian technology will take over, and we'll have our grounded high frequency kind of Melchizedek cloisters holding the frequency of the new earth around the planet. But for now, the new consciousness renaissance is occurring in cyberspace, and I call it sacred cyberspace, because even though it's been weaponized, and I talked a lot about that, and I talked about how to guard yourself against it, and I use Sunjite pyramids all over my house, and make a sleeping safe space. But it's a wonderful opportunity, because I have seen it dividing into two areas. Now, I've seen a lot of young people, especially. I saw this one, because I've been gorging on the YouTube videos, and I saw this one 26-year-old who was telling us how she became a millionaire. And what is happening is they're wanting to flood the internet, one, with AI, a lot of artificial intelligence, artificial, to create all these podcasts and all these videos, et cetera, et cetera. And while that can help, but they want it to create content, and they want you to surf the algorithms and find the algorithms that pay you the most for screen time. And this, is you are actually as an artist, and of course Aquashii is an artist. So as an artist, and I'm an artist, I'm a writer, I'm a filmmaker. What that is, the age old choice that we all have to make. Are you going to create from the soul, or are you going to try to make a lot of money and fit the algorithms? So a lot of people, especially young people who don't have content ideas, who are flooding the internet with which lipstick to buy and all that kind of stuff. That's fine. I'm not judging them, but they're in there. So what we need is spiritually mature people who are following the Kristalla spiral of ascension, people who can beam steer us and hold the truth frequency and create from the soul. And it's also a wonderful way to download information from, I call it infinite source, or from the highest dimensions that we can possibly reach, and share it. And then instead of going for algorithms, we're going for community. We're going to build community. And I think Aquashii and I are on the same page with that. And that's the focus, because it's a wonderful way for us to find our tribes, to become leaders with followers, but we're leaders that create other leaders, and we're role models, because that's all we can ever do. And I chose Aquashii here, so to bring him on, because I feel like he's a real symbol of that, and he's a musician. I found him on the web. I knew he had the Christic Foundation, which was wonderful, and he I heard his album. It was the Tribe, the Vow. I heard that one, and it just resonated because the music and the vibrations and the frequency is so powerful, which is why Hollywood tries to control it so much. But now we finally have a way to express it for freely, through sacred cyberspace. And then I saw your wonderful video when you visited Montsegur, and it was such a beautiful pilgrimage. So, so welcome, 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 and tell us just a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind, because I know there's so much, and I put it in your bio, but I'd like to hear your own words.
Sure. Thank you for the introduction, and I very much resonate and connect with what you're saying. I'm on the same page. I'm a music artist. I have had this kind of bubbling away, I think, most of my life, but I was ignoring it for a lot of it, which caused a lot of suffering. And I believe that that is when we are suffering like that, that's a call. It's like a call because this niggle doesn't go away for a calling that you've got. And if we ignore it, it can really kind of build up inside. And I experienced that for a lot of my life. And thankfully now I'm on the wave where I'm actually in the creative zone. So and that is actually one of the things with the communities that I'd like to do, is to foster more creativity, because that helps us embody more of who we are as Source Express. So that's kind of my journey. I've been on this for quite a long time. I would say that I was asleep spiritually until around 21, and then I kind of had a rude awakening. I was actually hit around the head with a hammer, like physically, and that was my awakening. But yeah, after that point, I just kind of like searched for why we're here, what's this all about, and eventually I came across Keylontic science through a long wave of kind of different modalities and theories and all sorts. And as soon as I found that information, I was like, wow. Then I shared it with my brother and my mom, and we were all like, wow. So we're all on the same wavelength together, which is a beautiful thing. Then life happens. I did a music technology course in 2007 for 2 years. Had to kind of move back into 3D again into my life, just to kind of pay bills, all that kind of stuff. Went into business and learned all the business skills. I was a tiler in the UK. And then eventually it was 2013. I was at a workshop in Florida. It was the Big Life Now workshop with Arias. Oh, it's actually was it Freedom Teachings back then? Anyway, one or the other. Yeah. So it was that workshop where it was like, right, okay, your commission for the grid work is kind of come to an end. Although I don't think it ever ends, but it's not the main focus. Okay. So it was like, right, what do you want to do? What are you going to do with this life? So, and the music was always there. So I kind of just dove into it, committed everything I had to it, and I'm still doing that to this day. So, but it's very much entwined with the spiritual path. So
beautiful, beautiful. And I'm so glad that you are here. And I've got some great comments, that people are really excited about you coming on. And I want to take this moment because I'm just going to say this is my personal really direction, okay, what I'm guided to do, and if it resonates, fine. If it doesn't, and I don't know about my guests, they of course are sovereign free, but for me, I think it's really important right now because I see for me, when I woke up and I first learned about colonic science, it just woke up so many aspects of myself and so many memories, and most of all, explain things that happened because I'd lost my twin soul, and I know he was guiding me toward that, and explained, okay, what we're doing now, our job, where he is, it's like, where is he and what our job is, because, you can't always, we don't have that structure. And most of this information we should have. It's our birthright. It should have been included in what we call the Holy Bible, and the creation mechanics and the true sciences and all this. So I feel very strongly about merging the two, okay, because I don't do the separation duality thing, the Christic science and the plot, the new whatever it is, and I really believe that we are, I feel like I pay, first of all, so many respects to all the people that worked with Ashiana with the grid work, because I don't think we would be here today if those souls hadn't stepped up under, really, it was really an emergency situation to hold the planet together enough to move into where we are now with, I call it the resetting to the infinite. Everything is realigning with the Crystallis spiral of life, the failsafe program from the Crystal River host. So, but I believe our jobs now are to become speakers, or translators of this wisdom, of this knowledge in our own unique way. Through music, yes, through stories, through writing, through classes, because people are hungry for it. As I share it, people are coming up, but I want to understand it. I don't understand it. And I'm the same way, because it's vast knowledge. And part of what we have to do is accrue enough genetics so we do understand it. And then we'll remember it. And then we'll just be it. And we are creating a whole new culture, a whole new lifestyle, a whole new earth, a whole new planet. And that's our job. So, and I think you're doing that so well with your inner music, your divine music.
That was actually the main kind, when all this kind of turned on, that was the main mission for me, was how do I get this level of information into a package where it resonates and connects with people on an emotional level that allows them, it's a bridge to it. And whether they come to embody it mentally is another thing, but I mean, frequency is frequency. You can feel it acts, and it works. So my kind of mission was to reach as many people as I could. So not just speak to people in KS, not just speak to them, but also reach many other people through the words and frequency. And yeah, it wasn't just to speak to everybody in Keylontic science. That was not my mission. It was to basically reach as many people as possible.
Well, I think, Dolores Cannon talks about waves of volunteers. And I do think there's like a first wave. And I was listening to a video that I think there's like whether you call it a shield or whatever, there's like 1 million people who contracted here to be the change. And then, of course, like a pebble, that wave will reach out and reach out and reach out. So by us all, first of all, waking up to who we are in our contracts, our missions, and then that will just, by being us, it's going to permeate, because inherently the humans, I mean, we're not all human here, and not everyone has a contract to ascend, in the Christic path. They might do it the hard way, space does, but those that are, first of all, we just have to make people aware that's happening and what's really going on. And we're living in the most incredible time in the whole history of our time matrix. It's just it's breaking news. It should be everywhere, but of course, everyone's kind of in their mind control, blah blah blah. But just a little tune, a little frequency, the frequencies infiltrating, it wakes up the soul.
And it's happening everywhere. Like there's so many people and collectives that are doing this. It's incredible. Like we are all waking up together, and it's a massive shift that's going on at the moment. It's very exciting. It's like you said, like this only happens once. Like you go from sleep to awake once. That kind of, well, maybe it's happened a few times, but the feeling of awakening and actually embodying is magical. It's absolutely magical. And that's actually one of the things that I really wanted to give back, because when I was younger, I used to listen to bands like Enigma and Enya and people like that, and I remember just kind of like feeling all this stuff that wasn't there before, like these connections, these like realms and just notions. And I want to give that back. Like I want to give that back to the children that are sat there that have no idea what's going on, and then all of a sudden they're kind of like, wow, this new world wakes up.
Yes, it does. It activates DNA.
Yeah.
which is so powerful. And that's what we're really doing. We're really not teaching anything new, because as we wake up, we're remembering. And because of failsafe, it just it's such an incredible time. I don't think people understand that we had to reach like the bottomless pit,
Yep.
and we
Yep.
lived in a world where people were, where is God? Well, what happened to God? And now it's like zoom, like rocketing back up, and it's exciting. And I think it's a time for us, especially in the sacred cyberspace, because, and I mentioned here in Sicily, I know you live in Vietnam, so a lot of us are choosing to live in places, where we don't congregate physically together, because the places where we used to congregate can be very toxic. The big cities where we used to have the theater and the music, the concerts and all that. So I met I guess you call him digital nomad, a little girl here out in a party here in Scopella, which is like in the middle of nowhere. It's a beautiful place, but we were making our own pizza in a pizza oven and crushing grapes and stuff. And I said, well, what are you doing here? Because there's not too many Americans here. I don't know if I find that as a Brit in Vietnam, but I said, what are you doing here? She says, well, I work on cyberspace, so she can live wherever she wants to, and she has her income. And what a beautiful way to influence people.
Mm.
So tell now, I'd like to know about your journey in Vietnam. Vietnam, as an
Yeah.
American, Good morning, Vietnam. How did you end up there from being a limey? I guess we'll say, maybe a Brit, to Vietnam. And I know your wife is Vietnamese, right? So probably that
That,
had
that,
something to
that's
do.
there's the short answer. My wife's here.
Okay.
But there's a whole kind of like journey that got me here.
Well, how did you meet them? Because I'm into twin soul journeys. I'm a
Okay,
romance.
okay. So but there was something called the Aurora Earth Project, and I was on the sound team, and
Okay.
I was working with all these artists, and I really started to delve into the mind control stuff, like how they control artists and what they go through,
Mhm.
the separation of the consciousness, like horrendous stuff. And it really kind of brought up this fire inside of me. I'm like, right, I'm going to do what I can do to kind of bring light to this. And I set up something called the Freedom Star Project, and as in free the stars. The stars are the ones that have gone through all
Oh,
the
wow.
horrendous.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, and this was a whole journey for myself, and it's part of my own kind of awakening and kind of
Yes.
understanding. But essentially, what I set out to do was interview people with a positive message, like Suchi Waters. There was Derek Theron. There was people like that I interviewed, and I wanted to do this, like just pour everything into it. But then I suddenly realized that I have a 3D life to live in, and it's I require finances. So I'm like, right, okay, how can I figure this out where I'm still doing something like this, but being able to pay bills as well? So that's kind of a balance that we're all wanting to do. I mean, a lot of us just want to do exactly what we want to do on a spiritual level and not have to think about any of that. But we
Mhm.
are here right now, so we have to give energy to that as well. And during that period of time, I ran a Facebook page, and I was just posting positive music with positive lyrics and just songs that really inspire, basically. And then Chuck, my wife, my current wife, she reached out to me and said, "Look, I'd love to post songs on there. Can I do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'd love that." And she kept on posting way after I finished posting as well. Like her grit and determination was amazing. Anyway, that kind of evolved into meeting her, and like there were connections on a level that I didn't even expect at that time. And there was a whole unfolding. I ended up in Vietnam, moving out here. I sold all of my tiling gear, my van. I moved out of the house, and I just went all in over here. We was actually running an online music um, teaching platform called Song Buddha, and I was working that with Derek, but unfortunately that didn't kind of work out. So I ended up in Vietnam with a certain amount of money and no way to get money back to the UK because you can't actually get money out of Vietnam back to the UK. So I had to figure some way
Wow.
out. And then I didn't know. Like none of us knew how it was going to unfold. I was in a country I couldn't speak the language. I didn't know anyone around me. I only had a certain amount of money. Couldn't get money back into the UK. But I was like, right, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. So I actually made a song called "I'm Not Giving Up." At that time, it's like my own. Not giving
Wow.
now. I'm moving one step at a time now. I'm grooving. That was the song that I made. Anyway, so that was like a self
Wow.
affirmation. And then I ended up. So I was like, right, I need to get better at making music. So I attended this online class at Beat Academy, and the guy that was using some software, it was Webinar Jam, to do the webinars, and it was like this free thing. I only had a certain amount of money to do this free thing, but I jumped on it. I says, look, because the guy that was using it, Ill Factor, he was basically saying he looked like a rabbit in headlights. I was like, well, I can help with that if you want, and I ended up working for him online, and that brought the money in where I could kind of live in both places, and I was
Wow.
learning as well.
Wonderful, wonderful, amazing. So, just while I have it in my mind, could you please tell us your YouTube channel where we can find these songs? Are they on your YouTube channel now?
Sure, it's Aquashii music.
Aquatic Music, okay, and that's on YouTube. And then,
Aquashii.
okay, wonderful, wonderful. And you know what? You cut out. Can you tell us the words to the song again? I'm not quitting because you cut out there for a minute.
Oh, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up now. I'm moving one step at a time now. I'm grooving. I'm not giving up now. Oh man, it was a while ago now. There's
Wow.
yeah,
No, but just those words, because for me, when I'm in a crisis, sometimes it's a song that will come into my mind. And, sometimes it's a guidance that's just coming that will direct me, like, and that's very powerful. So, I just want to orient because a lot of people aren't aware of what you're talking about. But in our book, The Infinite Human, we have a chapter called Hooray for Hollywood. We go into the dark and deep and dirty and I actually, as a writer, that's where you go, right? You go to Hollywood, and I went to Hollywood. I lived there, and the first thing that happens, is I was handed a porno script, so you have to like sell your body, and then if you do that, you have to sell your soul, and you have to. And we had Jay Widener on here who talked about, who basically shared the fact that at a big Hollywood party, one of the starlets, was told to go in the basement, and in the basement there was an infant, and it was the whole satanic sacrifice, and that's part of to get into the club. And of course, we know like people that tried to get out, like Michael Jackson and Prince. I mean, I'm a slave. So, and there is MK Ultra mind control that's done to them. That's just part of it by splitting their minds so that they have all these altars, so that they can perform for hours without noticing. And then they move to the other altar, and some altars actually rat on the other altar when they try to free themselves up. But in my personal opinion, I think John Lennon did free himself from that, which is why he went through the streets saying power to the people and things like that. So, but when you do sign that blood covenant and you free yourself up, you don't get long, which is why. So it especially in the music industry. And why is that? Because music is so powerful. It's
yeah,
frequency.
yeah,
So, and I know musicians have not been able, struggled. They've struggled, unless they get a contract, an album contract. But I really believe, and I appreciate you sharing your struggles. But I really believe for us creatives now, and I got that when I went to LA and took a screenwriting class back many years ago. Gosh, back in the 90s. They said, the time's coming when you just can do everything in your computer. And I'm like, really? And I was so excited about it. But then I didn't realize they were going to weaponize the whole net, and control it and everything. So we have that going on. But I feel like if we're flooding it enough,
yeah,
and we get really good with the algorithms, and that's where we need to be. It is kind of I don't want to say say it's a fight, but it's a place where we need to not shy away from. And I'm saying this because I'm correcting myself, because I was like,
I feel
but
you.
we,
Yeah, it's a thing going on. You just want to separate yourself from it. You know that all this crap's going on in there, and but
yeah,
you've got to shine your light in there. You've got to seep in there. We didn't come to hide under a rock, did we? We didn't come
no.
for that. We came to shine a light. So yeah,
And I'll be perfectly honest, it's hard because maybe people don't understand, but they do now use like black magic and AI and beam steer through devices and all that. And I've had to do so much just using, I use the Maharic Shield a lot, shielding myself, shielding my devices, flowing plasma energy, streaming through it, So, but, I feel like when you reach a high enough frequency, it's okay. You overpower that. And I think we've, the first 4 years since the scandemic has been very trying for many of us, but I feel like we're reaching such a powerful collective that as we flood our frequencies into the net, we're going to expand it, and we're going to, I always say, don't surf the net, surf the infinite, but we are bringing the infinite into the finite net, and it's a great opportunity for us to fund ourselves, So with that said, okay, we're going to take just a really short break here, and
sure.
we'll be right back with Aquashii. And we're back. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is thrilling for me to have Aquashii, because we're so much on the same page, the same frequency. And I feel like by having this conversation, many of you, especially, I think we're all artists. I think we all have, I say it's like you're all water, but snowflakes at the same time. So we're all one, but we all have our unique gifts and talents, just as snowflakes, our thumbprints are different, and we all have something to share. If we're here, if you have if you're in the body, you have a job and you have something to share. So you want to speak to that?
Absolutely, yeah. I feel like the more we embody creativity, the more we embody source. Like that, I mean, at the core of source, what is it? It's creation. So if we embody that in any way, any form, then that is embodying source. And the more we flow with that, the more energy flows through us, and freely we feel freer inside and externally as well. So yeah, I totally agree. And
I just think I'm sorry, flashes of, we're gonna have to do a film together, because it's so funny, because you're, a musician and I'm a writer. And just to punctuate what he said, okay, as a writer, I wrote a book, gosh, back in the day, 1995, called The Magical Mist. And the message, and I went all over the US doing book signings and doing creativity workshops for children, because it was all about a little rag doll who came to life and took her owner, Lauren, to the world of imagination, where she met Queen Fantasy and King Infinite, and learned how beautiful life was being creative. So she was in the higher dimensions. And when she came back, the little rag doll and she received the key to the world of imagination. And
mm,
when she got back, her teacher was complaining about how she was disrupting the class with her fantasies. And then her mother, didn't want her child to do poorly in school. And so, the magical Mirabelle ragdoll was thrown out with the key to the world of imagination. I mean, it has a good ending, but I think that's what happens to us all. Our imagination is like snuffed out, the creative
yeah,
smart sparkle. And the educational system does not fan it, for sure. It snuffs it out. And we have to later on, that's what happened to Lauren later on in her life. We have to struggle to find it. We think, well, we're not creative. We've got a color within the lines, and it's huge to recover that. And I
the battle
hope,
you go through,
yeah,
the battles internally that you go through when you first start to turn around and create, it's massive. Like there's all the guilt, the shame, the kind of, am I good enough? Am I worthy enough to create? There's all these things that you end up going through, and there's kind of the subconscious blocks that stop you from creating. Um, There's a book called The Artist's Way that I highly recommend reading. It really delves into how integrated the spiritual awakening works with creativity, and how you can kind of work with it to foster it, and be gentle with yourself, because it it takes time. It takes time to really delve in and open that part of yourself up. I mean, when I was younger, I had a really blocked throat chakra to the point where
Mhm.
it hurt. It actually hurt in my throat. You know, when you really want to cry, but you stop it, and it kind of holds in your throat. That was that was how I was when I was younger, to the point where I actually become violent because I couldn't express it any other way. It kind of hit that,
Yeah.
and as a kid, so I went through all that process, and like this journey, my journey is part of my healing,
Yes,
and
yes.
and that's the same for everyone. Like, it can look different for everyone. It can be painting, it can be, I mean, our life is our art. Everything we do in our life is our art. So every thought we have, every emotion we align with, it's all part of this picture that we're painting. And we can really start to work with that, on a daily basis, um if we pattern these things into our lives. And I don't know if you want to talk about that, but that's what the communities I'm, I'm working with are kind of focused on, is bringing that in.
Yes. Okay, so we'll get into that. Let me just because we're so much on the same page. It's amazing. And I want to say also, while I'm remembering it, we're the vanguard, and just think what we're doing for the next generation, for the children.
Yeah.
Because if the children don't have to go through that, but it is our own internal internal journey. Let's just say, I don't want to make it a struggle, but it has been a struggle too. And ironically, what I did was, when I started my film school, after I lost Peter, I started my film school in Florence, Italy, and that was my Bible, The Artist's Way. And I taught, people how to find their creativity. And it was hard because they had so many blocks. But I also had a huge, in fact, I'm even wearing turquoise right now over my throat chakra, because especially when I started the Voice America, I've got a microphone now, so many blocks were put through my throat. And then I had like, my pineal and my crown chakra, this whole area. And I was remembering past lives of being beheaded, hung, all the things. And I think because you and I and, certain people, our voices, our expression is so powerful this lifetime, lifetime after lifetime, we've been, infected with these miasmic implants and overlays to try to that we've had to in this lifetime. I could say this is our heroic lifetime. So, and she follows the journey of the hero. So we are taking all those alternate identities and bringing them into this lifetime and healing it all and moving from victim to victor. And I wanted to talk about that, but I also, the statement that just grabbed me, and that's what I said. I have to have him on the show because you said, there is no time. Okay, there is no time. Even though we create time, we're in a time matrix. We create story, and in my first chapters, we're all stories in the mind of God. So we create story, to challenge, to learn, to grow. But in reality, there is no time. So you were saying about one of your projects, you were starting it, but it's already done. It's already done. So really the pathway is, because there's infinite multiple timelines and things that are going on, but we're choosing the highest one, the heroic one, to create, the best piece of whatever work, the best artwork, which is our life, because we're really a piece of art and we're in progress. So speak to that, and then tell us about what you're doing now, creating communities, I think on Discord and things like that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, as you mentioned about the heroic self, that's actually an affirmation that has really helped me, is to, whenever I'm creating, or whether I'm just in daily life, I'm like, show me my heroic version, show me who I am in my heroic version. What am I doing? What is my life like? And that's how I was actually patterning my life. I was like, show me the heroic version of me, and
Oh,
move towards
so
that.
freeze frame for a minute, because that's so powerful. I love that. I
Mm.
love that. what a wonderful tool for people. So when you're in a moment of indecision, maybe, or a dark night of the soul, because I know a lot of people have contacted me, listening to me, or going through dark nights of their soul, and I'm saying, it's the kiss of death in the film. You're just in that dark, deep, worst part of your life. When you're in the tunnel and you're facing Darth Vader, or Frodo loses Gandalf, whatever. Okay, so you're saying, what are the words you say to yourself then?
Well, it's either show me my heroic version,
Mm,
and then affirming I am my heroic version. I am my
mhm.
heroic self. Because
Powerful.
if you're saying show me, and you don't see it, then it's like, oh, I don't see it. What am I going to do now? But if you confirm I am my heroic version,
Mhm.
so it's just basically bringing that into focused attention, and it's your intention. It's what you're holding, the purest
Mhm.
version of you, the core version of you that holds all this beautiful creation, connection to source.
Mhm.
That's what you're
Mhm.
aligned with, and that there is a path, there is a version of you that runs all the way back to source, all the way to the fullness of source, and that's a path. That's a path that we're all walking, and you can affirm that. You can affirm that you are that path.
Yes, and I love the I am, because I
Mm,
am the most powerful words. I am, infinite. I am the highest heroic version of myself now, because it's all
mm,
happening in the now moment. We get so caught up in, oh, this is going to happen in the future, and this is going to happen in the past. But each moment, and I just said on the last show, right now, the shift we've gone through, we've really moved into the higher, very high frequencies. I said the new earth that we've been all wanting to go to is here now. We just have to get ourselves up to it. We have to embody that frequency. And with the solar flares, and the all the energy that came through the Series B and this Lions Gate, and the Nomi seed, and the Crystal River host activations coming through the sun, we're in this higher frequency. So we have to be in this now moment. Each choice we make is monumental, because we're carving out not only our life, we're creating our life, but we're creating a new earth with each thing we do.
mm.
And yeah, we got some
And
great comments
that's
here.
that's what creativity does. It brings you into that now moment. When you're
Yes.
truly in the flow, you are fully connected. You're whatever's flowing through you, that's source expressing.
Yes,
And
come a
it's
little bit closer for me, because if you to the
oh,
mic, yeah, 'cause I'm losing a little bit of you. But yes, yes, because I call it the zone, the zone. I mean, how many times when you're composing music, or me, I'm writing on, I'm downloading the book or story, hours go by. I'm like, oh my God, I got to eat. I got to go to bed. It's like, what happened? And, and that's the now of the eternal now.
yeah.
Beautiful.
Mm.
So, do you want to share with? We're running out of a little bit of time, so can you share with what you're doing to create community? Because I think that's what we're. I heard you say something. The time has come. We need to create community.
Yeah, yeah. So this is all fairly fresh for me as well. Like I've
Yeah.
been so focused on just creating the art myself.
Mm,
This chapter is opening up and it's still developing. So, but I'm seeing that we can create these pockets of communities all around. And the vision that I'm getting is that there are so many influencers and people that are creating amazing things, that if we can create this ecosystem where we foster communities, because not everyone resonates with everyone, like they just don't, like some people resonate with this person, some people resonate with that person, and that's absolutely fine. But if these people are able to foster these communities that are focused on being leaders, and a leader is someone that just basically is working on themselves to be the best version of themselves. They're not necessarily the people on the top of the mountain going, "Hey, come on this way." That's
yeah.
not one definition
Follow
of a
me.
leader. Exactly, yeah. And I see that these like pockets of communities popping up all over the place. And as creatives, we are able to bring what wasn't there into something that has value. and we can then circulate that value back. So how I'm seeing it is we can create these communities, and within these communities, I mean, we're running challenges. That's how we're kind of fostering this like self-working on each other. And the communities are focused on the big picture, as in why we're here, what it's all about, and big dreams, as in what we want to do with our lives. How do we want to move within this reality? And then somehow working that back in. So we're creating co-creating leaders, more and more leaders that then create their own little communities and kind of foster this kind of blooming garden. And also what I'd like to do is eventually, I'm still trying to figure this bit out, is to have it where any of the finances that are created through the art to go back into a pot. So like 50% will support the artist, and 50% will go back into a pot where it will help other people who have dreams, who
Oh,
maybe don't have
yes.
finances to keep it going. There's a book. Wait a minute, one second. Let me just get the book. A World of Three Zeros, Muhammad Yunus.
Okay.
He basically talks about microfinancing. Now, this was hijacked. He was hijacked.
Mm.
Concept, and the reason why is because it could have changed the whole world. The concept was that there are people that have amazing dreams and are very creative, but they just aren't in the situation to really flourish and move forward with that, with
Mm.
finances. And he microfinance, and he gave them small amounts, small loans. This was in Bangladesh, and it
Wow.
was mainly women that came to him, and they ended up creating these their own businesses, and they basically self-sustained themselves after that point, and then gave the
Wow.
money back. There was a 99% payback rate on the loans that were given, with no contract, no paperwork or anything like that. It was just given, and then they gave it back because there's this trust. They were helped out in time of need, basically. So I would like to somehow figure it out where there's this system that we can share, where people that have audiences already can kind of plug into this, where they can create communities, they can foster a community that are working on themselves, that are aware of the big picture, and also giving back and helping other people live their dreams and build up their dreams. Because there are so many people, creative people, that are stuck in these situations that just need a little helping hand, and they can flourish. So,
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, and part of what I always say in my mission is that it's wonderful to be spiritual, because and to know the colonic science and the activations and things like that. But we are physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, financial, and social. So as
mm,
we evolve, first of all, I always say the new earth is inside us. So as we evolve, we're going to create a whole other culture, a whole other way of doing things. And finances is a huge part of that, because the black magic Babylonian system, and I've talked all about that. It's all in the book. I'm focusing on the positive now. So if you're
mm,
lost, if you're not understanding what the few elites who run the planet have done by holding us hostage, by holding our creative expression hostage. And Hollywood's just one of the many manifestations of that. So, but we are, and I'm starting to see cyberspace as the first step. But we're all both masculine and feminine, but as a female, the magnetic side of me, we kind of work backwards. I always get the guys get lost because I work backwards. So what I see the future, I explained it the other day, is we have these points of light, of high frequency, almost like Melchizedek cloisters, that are grounded in the earth, that are all around the planet, like you said, hubs, where all our creativity is grounded. We're growing our own food. We're living like off the plants that we grow, not the animals. We did that last week, but the plants. We don't kill animals in our communities, and we're raising the children as a tribe. Where their gifts and talents are honored and developed and encouraged. And they're beautiful, pristine, high frequency areas away from the shade of the 5G trees, all over the planet. And we travel around and we teach, and they're like learning centers and they're healing centers for those who refuge away from these smart cities and things like that. They get a taste of these high frequencies. We talked to Amma, who's building one from the inside out, and she has an animal refuge there and everything. So it's all going to be grounded. I think the Tartarian technology will kick in. So I see that as the future. But the way we get there, okay, how do we get there? And it's going to be through the net. And I think we're going to have opportunities, because I've been listening to all these videos, and if 26-year-olds can become millionaires for talking about how to get on TikTok and Instagram and how to do the algorithm, the more of us, we're going to feed each other. Like I'm bringing, and it's going to be a co-creation. Like you said, it's not follow me, and and I know there's some people out there, and I won't use names, but they're all about me, and selling tickets to them and empowering them. But for me as a female, especially, it's about empowering one another. It's a win-win for everyone. So I bring you here, and I love your music, and I want you to grow and to flourish financially, and to get out there. And I'd love to collaborate with you in the future. I don't know how, but it'd be wonderful. And then, people, I hope they read my books. I hear people say, I love your book. It changed my life. It's the best book I ever read. Or, and I have so many books, I have children's books, I have whatever. So I hope people, just by buying it, and now we're getting to, it's the only challenge is to get to the people, and that's by getting on social media. So I think we have a chance to become extremely wealthy. And I have a nonprofit, so everything that comes into me is going to the next step, of helping, and I have, it's all on my website, www.infinitehuman.com. Our mission statement of first, bringing it to cyberspace and sharing this information with people, then taking that and buying land, and then getting investments for people to start coming together and creating self-sufficient, because abundance is also not being living in where you're drained. You have to pay for everything. Self-sufficient homes where you grow your own food, where money is not something you need. And, so you have like your own internal community where you don't really need money, because you're the best commodity. That's the biggest, you're actually Jane Everson refers to it as creation currency. That's the true currency. Us, we're the gold. We're in our creativity. And that's why they've kept us so suppressed. And we can create these communities. And then while the net's around, we can use, that. I mean, we need that to get our money from here and there. And I know sometimes between countries, it's hard to get, like I've even started using my phone because I lost my credit card. And it's like, oh, I need to, because my money is somewhere else and I'm here. So we need to use that while we can. But what say you to that?
Yeah, there was a really, really good film called Ready Player One that I watched, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Where they basically went into the matrix, and then they worked it all out, and then came out. It was all part of like reformatting what was inside so they could reach the outside. And it really, that's how I see it. Like we're going in and we're doing the best we can do, and we're reformatting, rewriting, reprogramming, and then we'll reprogram so the reality shifts, and we can then live these lives that we all want to live. I mean, I doubt many people want to go 9 to 5 just to earn the money to then pay the bills. Like no one really wants to do that. They want to be creative. They want to live freely. Like 99% of the people on the planet would want that. And why aren't we experiencing that now? So we've got to shift. And we're
Yes,
doing
I
that.
think David Icke puts it very well when he says, live, consume, what is it? Work, consume, die, or. So there's got to be more. And you have to say, and I want it. And it's funny you saw that because we're talking about time. I really feel like there was an alternative timeline where failsafe kicked in and Earth ascended, but it ascended without the humans. And, I think I got a course correction during this mate shift because it said, yeah, Earth's ascending, not to worry, it's going to um, you know, uh, uh, acclimate all its shattered aspects of itself to become holy again. But we need to include humanity. So that's why we have to go into the matrix, into the net. That's where I got my course correction and bring humanity with us through this new consciousness renaissance. And then we can all ascend collectively, as many as who choose, and it's a choice. So,
That's been
okay, so we're running out of time, but stay with us because we're bringing Aquashii back in the next segment. We'll talk about a few more things, but just for our listeners today, Aquashii, can you tell everyone how they can connect with you? Because I'm sure people are going to want to reach out.
Sure. Instagram at Aquashii Music. YouTube, you can find me there and comment on any of the comments. I reply to everything. The best
YouTube is Aquashii. Just can you spell that because maybe people have trouble with that?
Yeah. So Aquashii, Aquashii, music, music.
Okay,
And yep, so you can find me on most social media. If you Google it, it'll just come up.
and Facebook too. You're on there. So
Yeah.
okay. So thank you so much for joining, and please tune in next week when we go into a little bit more depth about this fascinating new time we live in, this new consciousness renaissance, and co-creating beautiful new Earth communities together. Ciao for now.
Bye.
Okay, so I'm going to take a brief potty break if you want to, and we'll just come back and we'll do the second part. I really gotta go. Okay,
Yeah.
be right back.
Shortly.
And you too. For those on live stream, we'll be right back. Okay. I usually do this in the evening, and in the morning. In the mornings, I drink lots of water, like 2 liters. Okay, so I'm just going to Great. We got some great comments here. Beautiful visions from Indigo 111. Thank you so much for listening. Wow, she really enjoyed this. Okay, so we're going to just start the second one. All right. Okay, and hello, my divine, infinite human beings. You're all that is, ever has been, and ever shall be. And welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the second part in a series that we're visiting with a marvelous music artist and, well, divine, infinite Christic being. And last week we discussed about, well, a lot of the traumas that creative people have experienced in their journey to being creative in this finite matrix that has controlled most of all the money, which is energy, and really hijacked so much of the creative energy on this planet. So and we've talked about the solutions, really, I think some good solutions, and what I call the new consciousness renaissance, where we're all like the past Renaissance, where painters and poets and writers and, of course, I lived in Florence for a very long time. So I called it my school, the New Consciousness Renaissance School, but you didn't have, and it was a film school. So it was kind of bringing all those aspects of creativity together. But, that was definitely co-opted. But now I think we're going to come together from a very high frequency and gathering our information from infinite source rather than external sources that have in the past always infiltrated us. So so welcome back, Aquashii. And how did you come up with that name? I wanted to ask you that last time.
Aquashii. It was actually my wife and I. We sat. It was 2016, I think. We just sat and we was thinking about names. And the Adashi return cycle was kind of one of the forefronts. Basically, that a being can come out of source, out into external creation, and then return back to source, and then come back out again and help out. And that's like the Adashi return. So it was in alignment with that, but with regard to water and being fluid like water.
Okay, so very powerful statement here. Adashi, adept, someone who's been through the time matrix maybe several times. Even how many of us I've been told I've been there a couple of times, but so we bring with us a lot of wisdom and hopefully a lot of compassion, because we understand the struggle. And as we wake up, many of you who are listening, you may be that, you may be one, and that means you've chosen. My first spiritual teacher, who was a Vulcan and a retired military sergeant, said, never volunteer. Because it has gotten pretty precarious for many of us, just to get us out. A lot of this has been a rescue mission to get us out because of our good hearts. We volunteered. Oh, things look really tough down there. Let's go down there and help out. And it's like Edgar Cayce said, he likened descending into earth like a scuba diver. Everything's beautiful when you're out in the boat and the sun's shining and the dolphins are playing on the water, and then you get into the deep waters and your hose gets like tangled up and you forget that where you even came from. So many of us have gone through that, but this is a beautiful cycle that we're in. We talked about before, the fail safe, and we're all waking up very rapidly. It's happening extremely rapidly to who we are. And we're here to help out. So and we talked about in the last section that this was about sharing creatively our creative essence with the world. And that's the job really at hand.
Yep, absolutely.
And I like what you said, because it's not really like, follow me up the hill, I'm gonna take care of it, men, kind of the old paradigm of, the general leading you into battle. It's us knowing that everyone is God sovereign, free, and everyone has this knowledge. And as we are role models, really the true leaders are role models. And as we come into who we are, as we express our authenticity, as we express our creativity, as we express from the soul, it inspires others. And we were talking about creating these communities that where we co-create together. So do you want to
Yeah.
expand on that?
Yeah, I see that the garden visual is actually really, really accurate with this. So when we have a dream, a vision, if we see that, it's important to have this dream and this vision kind of anchored within an awareness that you are connected to everything. Because if it's a dream and a seed that is maybe ego based, and it's kind of wants to vampire kind of energy. Imagine a garden. You plant the seed, and you've got all these flowers growing up, and then the seed that you've got maybe is disconnected. You don't realize that you're not part of you don't realize that you're part of everything, the whole garden. And then this plant grows, and it's a vine, and it starts to vampire off everything. And this is the importance of seeding dreams that are connected, and in the awareness that you are connected to all. So how does your dream foster other people's dreams? How do you help the garden grow? And that leader concept is kind of like the big flower. Like, gardens aren't beautiful, the big flower. Gardens are beautiful because of so many beautiful different flowers, and they all look different colors and different shapes, and that's what makes a beautiful garden. So we if we can all get to the point where we're aware we're a part of the garden, and we're actually not the flower either, we're the gardener. We're the one that plants the seeds, we're the one that looks after the seeds, we grow the garden, and we're becoming master gardeners. And we realize how our seeds affect other seeds, and how they kind of how our plants all grow together. And gardeners will know that you have to plant the right plants for this soil and that soil, so they all help and grow up together. And that's what we're doing with our dreams, with our lives. Like, what we how does what we want to do with our life affect the whole? Does it assist, or does it vampire? And it's really important to anchor within the assisting if you want to connect, because a vampiric system basically only has a certain amount of energy, and it keeps circling within itself until it vaporizes. So, and there are so many beautiful flowers that all want to work together with you and create this amazing garden. So we can do that. We can foster that.
Oh, I love you. I just love you so much. I'm so God, thank you so much for saying that. I just that is so powerful. That is something that needs to be encrypted into the minds of everyone everywhere. It's really the way we're going to get out of this 5D. I mean, this. Sorry, I'm up here. Woo! You just set me reeling up here. I'm in the higher dimensions, but to move out of the 3D mindset. And God bless them. I don't judge anyone, but I've had people on the show, and they're trying to wake up and get the cabal and bring in the Galactic Federation. They're going to save us and all that kind of stuff. I won't name names, but they're moving about. It's me, 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 me. And I basically had a conversation with this person and said, I can't co-create with you because you're there, and you're not creating structures that self-sustain themselves. If you're not there, it dissolves. And especially if we enter the male-female thing, because historically, females who are magnetic, and we're in a magnetic universe, and we have so much power, but it's the power of love. It's the power of our softness. That's our strength. But we've been forced to be cast in the lunar light, with the shackles of the lunar harnesses as the reflection of the solar male. So we've had to revolve around the male rather than being equals and co-creating with this beautiful synergy that happens as we exchange our crystal codes in, sacred, the sacred, I don't even say sex, because I think that on the higher levels it's called Hawani, when your plasma bodies exchange. But it's such a powerful thing when twin souls have that sacred union, and we need to spread that out so that we're like the flowers. We're all different. Again, I say water, we're all water, but we're all snowflakes, and we have to celebrate that, and really find that connection that you put so beautifully in that garden analogy. I just love that.
And there's different stages as well when you're growing your garden, when you're growing your dream. There's the seed phase, so it's really important to align that seed with all that is, and the awareness that you're connected with everything. Then the wait a minute, 1 second. I had the sprout phase. There we go, and then the bloom phase. So the different phases that you go through with your dreams, and they need different focuses and attentions. And that's why I set up the challenges, basically doing a monthly challenge, and you can do whatever you want to do, whatever is coming up for you to work on. But when you're working on your dream, it can require different levels of focus to get it to the next stage. Like for a musician, it's not just about creating the music, it's also about how you get your music out there. And it's like you're saying, with the algorithms, with this or that, there's so much you need to learn and to work on, and sometimes it's overwhelming. And I found that for me personally, challenges are a really, really good way of doing that, where you break it down into smaller steps and you do it consistently. And you can set yourself a challenge to do whatever it is that requires you to take your seed to the next stage, in small steps, and you see it grows gradually over time. And it's not overwhelming when you do it this way. You can kind of break it down into small steps. So we're actually running them every month. I'm going to be doing this continually now.
But would you tell about that? Because like I was like you, I was trying to learn so much at once about the internet. I think that burst kind of came in, and so I remember I was trying to get on Discord, but it was like, I can't do this; it's too complicated, because I was doing TikTok and Twitter and everything at once. I was just like blah. But can you share that with people if they want to join you there?
Sure, yeah. So it's called Big Dreams Small Steps Challenge, and we're coming up to the third challenge now. So it's just a small group of people that they sign up, and then what happens is we all kind of we get on a Zoom call, and we chat about what it is we want to do. We set the challenge,
Oh
and you've got
wow!
a simple.
Can anybody join now, or even though it started? Can anybody come in?
Well, we're nearing the end of challenge 2 now. So challenge 3 will start on Friday. So yeah, I can share you a link. So basically, you set your goal. We kind of work together within the Zoom call. We set the goal and then just make a simple sheet, and it doesn't have to be complex. And we have this tendency to overcomplicate things, and it really doesn't need to be. So it's just tick it off each day when you do it, and that obviously gives you momentum and forward movement, and it brings joy in your life when you do this. And it's a way of really kind of breaking down a massive dream into small steps and moving forward. So yeah, we're running them every month, and that's part of how I would like to foster the community, where it's not just a community that talks, it's a community that acts as well. We're acting towards our goals and our dreams. And just think, like, if we really seed all of these amazing dreams and then we start working on it, and over time, these see out each and every dream that we're all working together starts to work with each other and grow this kind of like this garden. And then we create a pot of funds where it goes back in, and then we can support new people coming up who maybe need some funds to get a laptop so they can maybe start this thing that they want to do. There's so many things that we can do with this. Yeah, so that's what we're on at the moment.
Beautiful. So it's a wonderful way also to become part of a community with you, and to have, So if you like what he's saying, it's a wonderful way to because all of us, I got a message. Wow, you got right back to me. But and you said you respond right away to your comments. I think, and I'm sure you agree with this, you guys are the most precious commodity to me. I mean, you're like our seeds in the garden. You're so listeners and audiences and people that listen to your music. For me, people that read my books, that listen to this talk show. I love to hear from you, and we're I think the most powerful thing we can do right now is break through the ego barriers, break through the old paradigms, and shatter those. And as a filmmaker, I think of a film. So you have like a Fellini, or some great Spielberg, or Cameron, but it's based on that ecosystem of the tyrannical rule of the director, that sometimes pushes people to tears. And the whole Hollywood thing, not just to mention, I talked about the satanic influence, but you hear horror stories of the actors and actresses, or how that you have to fight. Or, well, as a writer, first of all, we were always told, they destroy your script. So there's no respect for the creativity of other people. So I'm saying this as a way we don't want to do it, okay? And so we can see the new way. First of all, the creation that comes from the mind of a writer, and Peter and I wrote many screenplays and pitched them to Fox and all these places, before we hit the walls of not being part of the club. But they take your script and then it's theirs, with absolutely no, very rarely, the communication between the writer. What was your vision? What are we doing? Okay, now I'm using this to put my images on, and then same with the musicians, okay, yeah, I'm using that to put whatever. And it's just a lack of respect for that soul creation that comes out. We have to realize, one, respect every flower in the garden, every, and then learn that we come together at a higher level. Because, okay, now I'm going to get into colonic science, but in truth, we're all probably just, one great monadic being, that if we've come down here, we've splintered ourselves off for different tasks and jobs. And I say, I consider myself to be like a finger of God, I mean, just to do the job. Oh, here's my fingers here. I was playing with this the other day. The finger of God coming out of the cloud. Here I am, the fingers of God, to do the job. But at the head, we're all one, and that we really are. We're all here in the monadic families, that if you've studied colonic science, we have many different aspects of ourselves. So how do you think we can get into that? I know you're starting that with what you're doing now, but how can we help shift people away from that? Because that's going to ruin all the creativity. And as we come together in new earth communities, like, well, no, this is my garden and your garden's over there, so you trespassed over my line. I mean, we have to first, as a collective, reach that high enough frequency where we know we're interconnected, know we are one with our unique differences. So what say you?
Well, it's rooted in that awareness. So it requires us all to basically work on ourselves.
Mm.
And that's it.
Amen.
Like, the thing is, we don't need to force that upon anyone else. That's happening on a collective level. So we're all kind of just reconnecting and becoming more and more aware. And also the other side is becoming more and more kind of disconnected, and it is very visible now that there's paths, like there's two paths that are becoming more and more visible. And all we've got to do is just keep anchoring in our heroic self, in our heroic version,
Mm.
keep moving towards that, and trust that will. I mean, because trust is one of the biggest things that I've learned with this whole path. The more I go forward, the more I trust, because there's certain situations you're like, I have no idea how I'm getting out of this.
Mm.
And
Mm.
it unfolds, and like, I'm 41 now, and like, I'm still okay. Do you know what I mean? I'm still doing okay, even though all these things that have happened and challenges that have come out. There's been this path unfolding all the way through, and a lot of the time it requires you to really commit with it and move forward in your vision, and then in that commitment is how you learn to trust, because the path isn't always clear. It's not always a crystal clear path that's in front of you. It's almost like you have to step forward before the path's there, and then as you step forward, there it is, the path unfolds and you walk forward, and in
Well,
doing
well,
that, more and more trust is built.
well, one more time, will you say the mantra for the heroic journey? This is I'm going to take this. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this in the courses and everything. I love it. Say it again. What is the I am my heroic self?
I am my heroic self. Yeah,
I
but
am
it's
my
very
heroic self. Okay. So, the truth is, and I see people out there, talking about ascension and everything. And a lot of them are putting the power like outside of themselves on, a POTUS or aliens or whatever. We talked about this the last show. And
mm,
like I said, it's always inside of you. You have infinite source within you. That's what I'm always about. And I'm sure you're about that. And what we're going to see now, though, because of the Crystalla spiral, which is a consciousness. I don't think people are understanding. It's a consciousness. Everything before was on the Fibonacci, and that was why the cards were stacked against us, because it was on that geomancy, that architecture that was a parasitic, and the parasites, could thrive in that. It's like we talked about, like your intestines having like a lot of candida and everything that breeds like parasites, and it's almost like that. And now the Crystalla spiral is coming. It's that clean, pure. So the truth is, you're not going to succeed because on the Crystalla spiral, unless you embrace the true consciousness of oneness, unless you dissolve the finite brain programming of competition, I'm better than you, I'm going to get this out before you, blah blah blah. And I mean, I've had my own struggles. I'm not saying my shit doesn't stink, so I'm moving through it. But I think that's one of the reasons we've been very isolated. Many people have talked to me and they're feeling like alone, isolated. I mean, lockdown, and we're
mm,
coming together on cyberspace because we have to learn to come together. I just like touching, not, and I'm intermingling my fingers like, the old thing. This is the church. Here's the steeple. Open the door and see how the people are all like entangled, like you should do this for me. And I'm your mother. You don't respect me. And you're not my son. And, or you're whatever, the miasmic ancestral bondage that we've been programmed to have. And now we're coming together, first of all, as sovereign beings, connected vertically to infinite source, where we get our cues. And then we it's like a dance where we touch together with as equals.
mm,
Do
mm.
you want to add to that? Because
Yeah,
that's a new paradigm, I think. The new
yeah,
frequency, the new tone that we're setting as we become it, as we embody it. And we have to each, it's an inside job. We have to each do it. And when we do it, it's like we'll pop up and like, oh, you're there. You're at this higher frequency. Oh, you're there. And then we'll find each other and we'll join together like children in this beautiful dance of creation that's free of all the cumbers that have
mm.
co-opted our free creative expression.
There is there's one thing that you mentioned earlier that I'd just like to share a perspective on, about looking outside of yourself. And the thing is, though, outside of ourselves is a projection of the inside. So our
Exactly.
outside is also our inside. So it's not just a factor of saying, no, I'm just going in and that's it. You're
Mm,
also looking outside as well, because the outside is a reflection of you. Like, it's showing you, it's projecting from your, this amazing mechanical
yes.
kind of biomechanical projection. It's
Yes,
just
because it's your holographic
your
template,
heart.
and you're
Yes.
just projecting it, so you can better see it. Thank God we're in this kind of reality where at the higher levels, you are it, that. But here we actually chose to
Mm,
be in this 3D reality, so we could see, especially what triggers us, or I
mm,
would say see where we're placing our power. Because if we're projecting our power outside of us, is that redirecting it
mm.
to be able to shift it. I'd say if you're putting your power on a savior, then
That's
are you waiting? Are you not saving yourself? Because
mm.
that's
But there are also collectives of other races that are assisting. So it's kind of like not because you can kind of take this extreme approach where it's like, no, everything's outside of me. I'm not putting anything outside of me. But there are beings that are helping us, and there are beings that are not helping us. It's kind of so and you can work with them, and they will be part of the path unfolding. So but that doesn't mean that you're putting your power outside of them. It's like you're co-creating with them. Does your vision align with what their vision aligns with? And because just because we don't see them, it doesn't make them more powerful. It's just, does our vision align, does our heroic version align with their heroic version? And let's work together and create something different.
yes, beautifully put. And we're just going to take a short break, and then I'm going to come back and expand on that because it's a wonderful seed. And we're back. And yeah, and I think what you're talking, okay, what I want to clarify that, because we've had I feel like there's something abreast right now, another agenda, kind of like what I called the scandemic. And I've been talking about it a lot lately because, and Dave Emery wrote a really good letter on Substack about it. And I'm talking about the Galactic Federation, because there are many
Mm,
people who are channeling, beings. And I do feel like, we're all aliens. Okay. And I do think, humanity is going to very soon have encounters with our brothers and sisters off planet. It's coming. And there's also, but there's an agenda behind that. I just want to expose that so you don't fall in the loop. It's like saying, look, there's a road and there's a pothole, so you might want to veer to the left. That's all I'm doing. But if it resonates, fine. That's why I keep talking about that, because I go to divine infinite source first, and I always ask my questions. That's how I work. I'm like, what should I do? How should I, whatever, paint this painting? And then I look to my external reality because it's projected there. I get signs, symbols, ideas from the world around me. And I also work with the guardians, but the guardians I work with, and I work with my twin soul, who are in other dimensions, and they're non-corporeal, many of them, or have other, corporeal beings, but they don't like come into my room in a space suit. Okay, just so you know. Now there are aliens that have form, and there are many kinds, and a lot of the problems that we've had have come from them because they've chosen, they're what we call fallen angelics, who've chosen to separate themselves from infinite source, from the divine. And because they've been like fruit, they are rotting, and they have to get their energy from parasiting. So we've had the problem that this time matrix has been, actually bored into through black hole technology, so that we could be parasited off of them. And a lot of people are talking about, oh, the drakes, well, there's a lot more than just draconians or reptilians, and usually the ones that are talking about how bad the drakes are of the, fallen, Anu Elohim, the Tothian factions and stuff like that. So be careful, because there's been this war going back and forth, and it's extremely political. And I don't do politics, I just beam steer to the highest frequency. But I think that there's a whole scandemic coming of the Galactic Federation coming to the rescue. And we're going to see some of its blue beam steering, which isn't real, but there will be aliens. But I don't. I just have always said this is our planet. By being born here, by being made up of the composition, we are one with our Mother Earth, and we are the guardians of our Mother Earth. We don't want to hand that over to people in, beings in spaceships that have advanced technology, because I just see that that brewing. I pay attention to a lot of things going on. So that's what I'm talking about. Now that's going to be in our hologram, because I think it's going to happen on a planetary basis. But those of us who incarnated here, those of us, the Adashi adepts, those of us who have the higher knowledge, are here to hold the beam stream, the true frequency of the powers within. You are the guardian of your earth, and this is the showcase earth. There's so much happening right here. So we don't want to just say, oh, thank God you're here. Here, take over for us. That's what I'm trying to avoid. And I think that's brewing, because that's part of what that's an agenda I'm just exposing. So do
Yeah,
you want to share? That's what I'm talking about when I talk about help. I always ask for help. Take help. And it comes not by someone showing up in my front lawn in a space, or walking in my door, a zeta being or some kind of being. It comes from. I can trust the frequency. It comes from my family, my brethren that are one with me, and they help me all the time, and they're from the highest frequencies in this time matrix, and Aquinas, not even from this time matrix. So, do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, we're within this silent war that's been going on for millennia, and like you said, it's all about races that have disconnected themselves from source. So what's the antidote to this? Connection to source. So if we're all working on this connection, like that's the safety barrier. That's where we can, that's what we can trust, our own connection. Yeah, so let's just foster that. Let's foster our own connection to source. That's what we can do right now, and then we can have discernment when things do pop up. Do we really resonate with this? Is it in alignment with us? Are these ships coming down, or whatever you was talking about? Is that in alignment with me? Maybe not. So yeah, I think the more that we can connect with our own connection, the better.
Yes, it's always from, and I call it infinite source, because source, I mean, the Elon Musk's concept of source might be different, because where's the source? There's so many. So I say infinite, all that is, ever has been, source. And I always, that's what our job now is, to reconnect, because that has been disconnected. This veil, the veil of illusion, has been put in place to disconnect us. And the veil's lifting. So it's like, coming out of a coma, or a little baby that's learning first steps. We're remembering how to move as embodiments of infinite source. I call it infinite humans, because we're human and we're infinite. We're multidimensional, and we have the ability to surf and to get information from many different areas. And don't ever make something else, even if it has a lot of technology. Like a lot of people are saying, go to the med beds, or what this is going to happen is going to bioregenerate you. Well, you have all that technology within you, and it's time. It might be a little bit harder. It might be like, oh, I don't want to learn to ride the bike. Just carry me, or put me in the back seat. No, this is the joy of realigning with the crystalla spiral of infinite God source, of knowing who you are. And it's like the challenges that you're setting up. It is a challenge, but it's a beautiful challenge. It's a journey. It's the heroic journey. It's the most beautiful thing you'll ever do. And when you get back, whoa, with the elixir of life, with the reward, you have some great stories to tell.
Mhm. And what I find beautiful about it is that the connection comes from creativity and working with yourself, and running source through you. It's the most natural, freeing, beautiful thing that we can do, and we can do that every day in every moment. So it's always there.
And it makes you feel alive. It's
Mm,
life.
mm,
Really, the two paths that we're choosing moment to moment are very simple. I always say the truth is so simple. It's life, on the crystalla spiral, or it's death on the Fibonacci. It's not chi, it doesn't have any chi, and it's part of the death cult. And that's what everything has been about on this planet. I'm in Sicily, I'm in Catholic world, where you walk in and you see, God bless them, they're so devotional. But unfortunately, their devotion's been hijacked into worshiping, the crucifixion of this bloody man, the Christ, their inner Christ hanging on the cross. And you see skulls all around, ornate skulls with like gold around them. I mean, it's the worship of death. The food we're eating, killing, the animals, you're feeding off of death. It's been, our foods have been poisoned. So the products that we use, the chemtrails they're spraying, it's all part of death. And your creativity being snuffed is dying. And whereas the crystallis spiral, I'm sure as an artist, when you get that creative movement coming, you get that song coming through you, whether you're putting your fingers to the keyboard or for me, it's to the keyboard of my computer. It's flowing. I'm like, yeah. It feels so good, doesn't it? Your whole body is like vibrating in a higher frequency.
Yep, it does, and it makes you feel on point, like you're on your heroic path. That's the feeling that you get when you're working on this, when you're really looking at your whole life and you're thinking, what does my heroic self look like? What am I doing? And then shifting and working on these different aspects, because there's so much to shift, right? Like we've been embedded from birth into this system and taught a certain way. Our brain patterns, our subconscious, everything's kind of patterned in a certain way, and we've got work to do to repattern this. So, but it can be done. The more that we focus on it, the more that we work on it, keep that vision strong, keep connecting with the heroic self, keep working on different aspects of ourselves, we can do it over time.
I just love what you're saying because, in fact, the whole book, The Infinite Human, and I'll give you a copy. I give all my guests a copy, but it's all about, it's my personal journey with my twin soul and, everything that we ran through. Because when you meet your twin soul, I'm sure you have some twin soul stories. It's tough at first because you have a long history together. At least we did. And we had to heal so much. And then it was like humming. It was so beautiful. It's like you think, and they do, it's like you're just one, and you hold so much frequency. But it's also very difficult to stay together. At least it used to be. It's changing now, but you couldn't stay for very long together, and just enough to get your mission accomplished. And when I lost my twin soul, that was like my bottom, terrible moment. I mean, I just wanted to be asleep all the time because we were together in my dreams. When I saw him, I'd say, "Oh my God, I had this terrible dream. You were dead." He would just smile. And since then I've healed that because we, as I raise in frequency, I know where he is. We work together. We have a home together on Earth. We're together. But for me, my kiss of death was that. And I started taking sleeping pills and I mean, everything. I just didn't want to be alive. I've been up at a very high state and I didn't want to be alive. So my book was that story as I exposed everything, one world order, religion, I expose everything because of my personal experiences with it. And the very end is rewriting my life from victim to victor, rewriting it to my heroic self. And part of the journey is, as you travel, I don't know, many people travel, like here in Sicily, there's many me's, many me's around, and it's bringing those together and healing it. And that is the journey, the hero, as we see in the artist's way, and I use the writer's way. I used to teach from that, which is about writers and how I just love that Joseph Campbell's heroic journey because it is so spiritual. It's really about how we journey and the learning process of overcoming challenges and how each challenge is a beautiful gift to us and how we get the reward at the end of all these challenges of integrating our shadow selves, that shadow aspect of ourselves. So
Absolutely. Like even this interview, like the past couple of days, I have just been, man, it's been deep healing. The dreams and it's been a lot of processing. I was like, man, I've got this interview coming up, but I feel amazing now. We're talking about this. It's beautiful, and sometimes it really does take us just to kind of like just look, be present with it, and I think that's the key. Is when these things come up, is to be present. And if you look at creativity, what is it? It's presence. You're present with whatever you're creating, and that presence is source, and it transmutes, it releases these karmic miasms, which are like stuck crystals in the energy system. It just shatters them, releases them, and then we can embody more of who we are. So it's clearing out the river so that we get a clean river coming through. And
Yeah,
creating your book, that's a beautiful story, because you're obviously in quite a challenging space, let's put it that way, and it was creativity that pulled you through it, and now
yeah,
that's
that
the world.
and that my logos, Peter was a doctor, and he was actually Hippocrates, and he came back to kind of fix things because it wasn't all perfect, but in the way he fixed things was he evolved to a point where his logos was self-love is the best medicine. And I don't
Absolutely.
think any doctor, if that was the prescription, just imagine if all the doctors would prescribe that. And my logos has always been, since I wrote The Magical Mist, light up the planet with your creative sparkle.
Mm,
And I know it's hard when you're in those, valley of shadows, when in those dark nights of the soul, the last thing you feel like doing is creativity. But when I lost, my twin soul, which is probably, I think, losing a twin soul, when you've come together in such that divine union, when your thoughts are their thoughts, you don't know where your body ends and theirs, and you're making love every day, and you're just filling, it's like filling you, so fulfilled, and it's gone. That was the darkest night of my soul, and it
mm.
was my creativity. I started painting, and I don't even paint, but I painted some amazing
That's
you know
beautiful.
pictures.
Mm,
And writing pulled me through. I finished the Chronicles of Merworld, which was about a romance novel of a love affair between a mermaid and a submarine captain. But it was talking a lot about the divine feminine and the fall of divine feminine and the rise of it. It is symbolized in ancient whale women. But I tell you, it is that, just try to get out. If
mm.
you're up late at night and you can't sleep, sometimes get that paintbrush, get that keyboard or whatever, get that pencil, journal, just create, because you open a valve, like you said, that a
Mm.
purifying frequency that moves through you and clears out all those my Metatronic reversals and miasma and implants and everything. So
Move,
good
movement is key. I've
movement too.
found that when you stagnate and you procrastinate, and it just builds and builds and builds, and this barrier that it feels like this gigantic wall that you got to climb over. But often it's just the smallest thing. And what I've found as well is that if you go for the thing that you've been putting off the most, and you do that thing, even if it's just a little bit of it, it just like shifts everything, and you're able just to move through into the next level, and kind of open it up, and break down that barrier, that illusionary barrier of procrastination and gap within the self. Yeah, it's but movement is very, very key to creating the flow. Obviously, flow is movement, right?
Yes, yes. And when I used to do creativity workshops for children, all around, when we still had bookstores everywhere, I went all over. I mean, I went from Las Vegas, Chicago, Kentucky, and I'd read the book, and then I do creativity workshops, and we just put on some music. I put on like celestial soda pop, and I'd have veils and get the children running around, and moving, and they just loved it. They were bouncing off the wall, and I gave them back to their parents. But with that said, and the parents used to always say, "You're so good with children." I'd be like, "What?" I said, It's not children. I said, I'm good with you because that's the challenge. Being an adult was always the challenge for me, like, oh, yes, your children are very creative. Like, I just wanted to play with the kids. But I will speak to when Peter died, I couldn't write. I couldn't write. And I mean, I was a writer. We used to write all day. I'd write something, I'd give it to him. He'd finish it, he'd turn it back. That was our thing. I couldn't write. And there's something, I think it might be from the Artist's Way, but it was called, it was like a recovery for recovering artists. And it was 5 minutes a day. I'm saying this to all of you guys. If you can, for 5 minutes a day, do something creative, just start out 5 minutes a day. And I pulled out my computer and I'd be like having panic attacks and everything. And I just like, write for 5 minutes and then I put it away. And then the next day, 10 minutes and 20. And it got to the point where I opened that valve again and it was like I couldn't stop. So that little 5-minute recovery is crucial. And if you don't think you can do something, try 5 minutes of doing it. Just try it without judgment.
I totally agree with it. That's basically the foundation of the challenges, because I did a 365-day music making challenge. So I'd make music and post it every single day for a whole year, and I did that. And that kind of overrid this kind of program in my mind where it's like, oh no, when the planets align, that's when I'll make music.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you can actually just be present at any point and create at any point. It's not waiting for the planets to align before you feel amazing to do something. So that's what the challenge was all about, and is all about. It's about creating that little pocket of space where you can reconnect with yourself, whether it be creativity, because there's different levels of where you're at. Sometimes you have to sort out the physical body before you can get to the point where you can actually just focus your attention on creativity. So you can kind of go at any point along the stage and get to the point where you are creating that space for creativity. But I totally agree. Small little bites, big dreams, small steps.
Yes. And, something else about the journey of Dark Night of the Soul, because I just opened up some of the coaching now because it's a real pivotal time. And I had someone from England, just I was so glad we connected. We had trouble connecting, but he was like saying I was on the floor for like 5 days, like rolling around crying, and I always say, first of all, you have to feel to heal. So you don't want to shut that off. You want to feel it and honor that space. And I always say when I go into a dark night of the soul, I'm like, oh, good. I tell myself, because I'm purging and I'm going to feel so much better afterwards. I always say that. That's that trust or that faith. And then the second thing I will say is try, if you can, take it into art without judgment. I used to teach all the time writing from the soul. And the biggest thing is you've got to stop judging. You've got to get that critic off, because you can edit later, but just get it out there, like flow of consciousness, and put all that pain, all that suffering, write it out, journal it out, paint it out. I have an artist who goes through so much stuff, but sometimes, and she does beautiful flowers, pastel colors, but sometimes she gets into the dark red and black, but you're purging it, and purge it. That's what true art is. It comes from the soul,
and it doesn't last forever. That's the thing. Like that,
no.
I believe that for me that 365-day process was about that. It was about just delving in and letting whatever comes through in the day, because I didn't put any kind of thought of what I'm created. As long as I just created for an hour a day, that was it, and then posted it. That was all I had to do. Very simple. But in that process of time was them days where I was like, I really don't want to create, and that, like, I don't feel worthy, and all these kind of things that start coming up. Because especially when you're using your voice, that's when you really start to feel those kind of feelings. But you just kind of keep showing up for yourself, keep doing it, and over time, those things just become. There was a saying. It was a roaring. A roaring tiger to a cuddly laptop or something, lap cap. That was one of the sayings in the 12 Attitudes and Responsibilities.
And what does that mean in English? In English,
basically, it's like a roaring lion at the beginning. It's like it's uncontrollable, and eventually you get to the point where it just feels like a a cuddly lap cat that you're stroking. It's not
Okay.
over you. It's not stopping you from doing these things, and then you're able just to turn it on whenever you want. So, and it is a process. It's literally like it takes time to get to that point, but you've got to put the focused attention in to get to that point. And for me though, also there is a time for just having free create anything. But also what I found is that if I have a focused point, something that I'm actually creating, it really helps define, because creativity, there's so many things you can do. Like, it's infinite. You can add this, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this. It becomes
Infinite. Mhm.
on it becomes too much at some point. So having these kind of like focus points, like a hose, rather than just letting it go everywhere, you're grabbing hold of the hose and you're saying, okay, I want to water this patch here. I want to create this thing here, and having a vision. So for example, the what I'm doing at the moment with the songs, it's a song for every stargate. So I'm going through every single stargate, and I'm kind of connecting with the area, with the land, with the sounds, and really kind of delving into that. And it helps me create a vision for that, because it's very focused. It's very, very kind of like I've got a certain sound, I've got a certain feeling that I want to have expressed through the song, and that can help. So there's two ways of creating, and I feel like they have different effects. Like the free flow, just create anything, helps you heal. But if you want to create something with a vision, then obviously having that vision is important too.
Beautiful. I am so excited about the sounds of the star, the songs for the Stargate. Well, I don't want to put pressure on you, but when are you going to have it out? When do you?
I've been working on Gate 8, which is Xi'an, China, Xi'an,
Wow.
for quite a while. And uh, someone asked me this, like, when will it be done? I'm like, oh, I don't know. It
When
just
it's done.
when
Yeah.
it's done, yeah, I just keep working on it. What I didn't
Yeah.
realize is that this whole trip in the UK was absolutely vital for the full expression of it. My mum's singing on it. She's got a beautiful, like, operatic voice.
Oh,
She can take
wow.
you out.
Beautiful.
So she's singing in there. My brother, he's saying "absolute protectorate" in his voice, and we're toning together because we've got a very similar voice. And
Wow.
then
Beautiful.
Shay's actually, she had a poem about the pink heart. It's in Vietnamese, but the
Mm.
original tribes were actually, it's connected to China and Vietnam. It's all, if you date back, it's actually one and the same. Um, so
And she's your
all
twin soul, your wife, right?
yeah,
Shim.
yeah.
Okay, I
So
haven't met her. We'll have to meet her.
yeah, she's in a
That's
lot of the sharings that I do online.
and oh,
She's
so fortunate that you have your family with you. I know so many people would love to have their parents and their siblings. Wow, how beautiful.
Yeah, I don't ever take that for granted, because there were a
Mhm.
lot of times when we went around workshops and people were saying, "Oh, like, you've got your mom and your brother, like, I've got no one. I'm awakened in this
Yeah.
body, and no everyone around me thinks I'm crazy." It must be really challenging. But thankfully,
Yeah,
that's
everyone has a job, everyone's mission's different, so but, yeah, okay, so we're finishing up here. It's been epic. I've just loved both of these sessions. I think I also think it's been very healing for people, and I just wanna say one more thing. When you open up that creative valve, don't judge yourself, because I'm sure you've done many I know I've written books and books that never, made it, to my final edit, and that's just fine. That's like wildlife. Let it run for a while, and then you got plenty of time to edit, to perfect it, to refine it. But can you tell us about how to find you and what projects you're going to do and how we can be part of your community in the future?
um, so can I share some links with you? Because memorizing that off the top of my head is not great. I can maybe
Please,
give you
well, let's do it both, verbally, because for the audience, the listening audience. Yes,
okay,
please.
one second then. So the main one is, if you go to YouTube, it's Aquashii Music. You'll
Thank you.
find all my music there and all the links to everything from there. Secondly, I'm mainly on Instagram, so that's the platform that I like using the most. So I kind of share most on there. So that's again at Aquashii Music.
I'll find you.
Thank you. And then and then the community. Let me get the URL for that.
And thank you, Indigo1111, for all your beautiful comments. She says she loves your ideas. Real gems here. Smuggies up north. Oh, yeah. So much. Thank you for that. Okay, go ahead.
So let me just pull this up so I can remember the URL.
Do you have a website yet?
I do, aquashimusic.com.
Okay, so can we go there and find everything there too?
No, I'm redeveloping that one. So
okay, so that's your next assignment.
That's yeah. There's so many assignments. In fact, if you do that, it's Aquashii, AQUASHII hyphen music music.com. There is a join the Aquashii community today button, so you can actually join the community. And once you're in there,
good. And then we can always contact you to get more details. And and I just want to update you too with what Peter and I are doing together. he's helping me. But okay, everything's on our website, www.infinitehuman.com. But I'm getting really pushed to do a Patreon. I don't know if you've thought of that, but a Patreon, because it's a way for people to join, you know, for very minimum fees and support a lot of creative support. But we're going to be doing just a lot. First of all, the whole focus is going to be rewriting your life story to your heroic journey. And that's where we're going to start. And I've been doing that for a long time. And I do a lot of retreats and workshops and pilgrimages here where we actually go into places like the Uffizi we go into, or here we use the puppet, a very interesting place, puppet place, where you find your self at the beginning of the journey, your shadow self, and then your heroic self in visuals. And then I have you write dialogues about what each of them are saying. And then I have you create a whole life story where you correct yourself in line with that. So I'm going to bring that online because I've been doing that all around the planet. And I did that in my film school in Florence, Italy for many years. So stay tuned. Everything will be on my website. And, you know, in the podcast, of course, or the talk shows on Voice America Empowerment Channel. And I'm going to and I started a new YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that. It's not the Inhuman Talk Show. It's Infinite Humans. Infinite Humans Beings Co-Creating the New Earth. That's it. And that's kind of what, because it's a time to start new things right now. I feel like really we went up and now we're going, whoo. So thank you so much for coming. You've been just a delightful guest. I love it. I love just talking, you know, just bing, 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 and beautiful to have these kind of conversations. So thank you.
It's amazing what you're doing, by the way. Obviously, you're really putting yourself out there, and it takes energy, a lot of energy to do what you're doing. I think it's amazing. So congrats.
Well, that's why I stayed behind. I didn't really want to. Back in 1992, we went on our first spiritual retreat, and the spiritual teacher said, our spiritual teacher at the time said, you have three choices, you know, die like Bardo and then ascend, stay and then transmute, or become a traveler and like leave your body in a safe space and travel. So I looked at Peter, I said, we're going to stay. And he just smiled because he hadn't contracted to stay. I didn't really know that. And when he left, I had contracted to stay. And when he left, that was like, I'm out of here. I'm not staying. You know, no, I hate you, God. I was really, you know, dark night of the soul. And then, you know, I'm happy now. I love it. You know, I'm here to water the garden, plant the seeds, whatever. The garden. I love that. Okay, well, we better close off here. So thank you again, everyone. Thank you, Aquashii. And we'll have to have you back. Okay. And
thank you.
I see lots of things in the future. So, okay, everyone. Ciao for now. Bye. Thank you for joining. Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Okay. And so, okay.